Prince Harry and Meghan Markle have reportedly been snubbed by Joe Biden. That's after they asked for a ride back to the US on Air Force One following the Queen's funeral. The couple, who are understood to want to gain political influence in America, were denied a place on the presidential plane in case it caused, and this is a quotation, a commotion. Joining me now to tell us all about it is talkTV Royal Editor Sarah Hewson. My goodness. Hi, Sarah.
Hello, Vanessa.
So this isn't like, hitching a lift or hopping on a bus, is it really?
Not really. And if this is true, then it's a pretty bold request, isn't it, from the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, who apparently, according to sources, asked to hitch a ride back on Air Force One after the late Queen's funeral. Now, there are a few problems, I think, with this story, because Joe Biden left a couple of hours after the funeral. They were then in Windsor for the interment, so perhaps that didn't work. How was it going to work? Flying back to Washington, they needed to go to California. And it's not that straightforward, because even if family members travel with the president on Air Force One, he then pays for them. If reporters are travelling on Air Force One with him, they pay their way. So it's not a freebie. But why this is interesting is because it is thought that Meghan has political aspirations and potentially trying to get closer to the president and the First Lady, and reportedly snubbed because it wouldn't look good with the royals.
And do we rate the sources? Do we think these sources are sources we approve of?
I mean, I don't know. As I said, I do have a few problems with this story. It doesn't all quite add up to me. I'm not quite sure how this was supposed to work, or whether this was just a pie-in-the-sky dream. Look, they could claim that given that the president was flying back to the United States, it would be more environmentally friendly to share a plane than take two. We know that, that's one of their key issues that they've talked about a lot. But I don't know. And look, where Harry and Meghan are, there's an awful lot of speculation.
Yes.
We really don't know.
This is a story, though, that's circulating very widely around the world.
It is circulating very widely. There hasn't been any official denial of it yet. But it also comes, the same source talked about Jill Biden, the First Lady, having been invited to the Invictus Games and turning it down, again, because she was supposedly advised that it wouldn't be a good look with the royal family, were she to be hanging out.
That sounds a bit peculiar.
Well,
how can the Invictus Games not be a good look?
I agree. And surely the Invictus Games is something that transcends any of the family drama. Exactly. She has attended the Invictus Games, I think it's 3 times in the past. Military veterans charities are a big, big cause for the First Lady.
Yes.
But on this occasion, on this invitation, she apparently turned it down. And I think if that's true, it's really sad, and it's the wrong decision, because this is about far more than a family spat.
And also, you can't imagine, actually, either King Charles or Queen Camilla or Kate and Wills being offended by Jill Biden attending the Invictus Games.
No, and I'm sure it didn't get that far.
Would they?
I'm sure it didn't get that far. If this were to have been mooted, then you can imagine that it was some civil servant somewhere that might have said, actually, no, you know what, maybe stay away at the moment. But, having to pick sides, if that's what this is, when it comes to a charity, doesn't feel right,
No,
does
it doesn't seem right at all. This is very strange. We'll see. Well, I wonder whether they will issue a denial, because they're quick to do that usually, aren't they?
Yes, although they've been a little quieter.
A little quieter than they were. They piped down a bit.
Yeah,
yes,
exactly.
Yes.
Keeping a lower profile.
Let's talk about Prince George.
He is about to turn 10 years old this weekend. It is hard to believe, isn't it? Since 10 years since that great Lindo wing waiting for the easel to be placed on the forecourt of Buckingham Palace, and for Kate and William to be walking out onto the steps of the Lindo wing with that tiny little bundle, the future king.
And then William doing such a great job of fitting the car seat, is what I remember. Really fantastically, smoothly doing that.
He had definitely practiced
Most new dads absolutely confounded by that. He was brilliant at that.
Yeah. And we're looking at pictures here of George at Wimbledon at the men's final last weekend at Wimbledon with his sister Charlotte, 10 years old. And, we've discussed it before, Vanessa. The Prince and Princess of Wales, very careful to be trying to prepare him with engagements like attending Wimbledon that are fun and that are accessible for children, but also trying to protect their childhood as well.
And one of the things we've been hearing recently is about the impact on the children of the Middleton side, and how Carol and Michael Middleton are great levellers and great, it seems like the great sort of injectors of fun, kind of really sort of quite natural fun. It sounds as though Michael Middleton is an entertainer.
Likes to dress up. I think it's every Christmas has a different fancy dress outfit, isn't it? And of course they had their own party business for some time. But yes, they spend a lot of time with their Middleton grandparents and also with their cousins, Pippa's children as well. And that gives them that sort of normality of family life.
I think they're doing a magnificent job of behaving well in public. I mean, you could imagine any normal children at Wimbledon. I mean, paying attention at first, sitting up nice and
it was a
straight,
long
but
match,
it's long,
wasn't it?
isn't it? With full public scrutiny. They did a really good job.
4.5 hours or something, and they were sitting there, and of course the cameras were on them all the time. Little Charlotte has become a fashion influencer like her mother. The sunglasses that she put on then went viral on the internet and sold out.
Not surprised.
As well.
She looked great in them, didn't she?
She did. She looked fantastic. But yes, I mean, they are very, very good, and they know how to behave in public, and that is part of their preparation.
Poor old Louis, who was left at home and was apparently furious. And I don't blame him, do you?
I don't blame him, although you can imagine it would have been a long day for him. He did get taken out last Friday when they went to the air tattoo. And again, that was a fun day out for him, and he's gradually being introduced where it's appropriate.
And then there's the news about Prince Harry's book, Spare.
Yes. The Holiday Reject book. Yes, so this has come from a tour operator, which has said that it doesn't know what to do with all the leftover copies of Spare that are being dumped, whether it's on sun loungers or in hotel rooms. More than 100 of these books have been abandoned at their hotels, and charity bookshops and second-hand bookshops aren't wanting them.
I've got to say, that does sound true.
Well, it's quite a big book as well.
So many people bought it. I mean, we know that because we can prove that by the number of sales.
Absolutely.
It was huge.
Record-breaking sales. It was immense. And it's a hefty tome, isn't it? So if you packed it in your luggage to read it on holiday, you might think you don't want to take it back and certainly not be paying any excess baggage costs.
Don't ask me if I actually read every single word of it. I thought I would. I thought I would really want to. I was desperate to get my hands on it. We talked about it, and I was really, really keen to read it. But I must say, I did find it dreadfully dull in parts.
I did, obviously. I read it cover to cover. But I also then listened to the audiobook to then hear it in Harry's own voice.
Was that better?
Was really interesting as well,
Yes, oh dear. So he won't mind because at least he sold the books in the first place.
He sold the books in the first place. So what happens to them now? Well, you know, propping up the sun loungers.
Yes. and then William's off to New York for Earthshot.
Yes. Prince William is, it's been announced today, is heading to New York in September for the Earthshot Innovation Summit. And there he's going to meet some of the finalists in Earthshot. This is his big environmental initiative, the big challenge to try and come up with solutions to the environmental crisis and climate change. So he'll be heading to New York. He's going to be attending that summit, and there'll be other engagements along the way. But before then, they're about to head off on their summer break, so we probably won't be seeing.
Do we know where they're going?
Well, the Waleses are likely to be heading to Anmer Hall in Norfolk for a lot of it. The King is going to keep up traditions of heading to Scotland and Balmoral Castle, but Balmoral is going to be open for longer to the public.
Yes, this is the story, isn't it? The members of the public will get to see much more of it and for greater lengths of time. I mean, it's beautiful, isn't it, once you're inside?
It's absolutely beautiful. I mean, the countryside around it and Balmoral Castle itself. It usually closes to the public at the end of July, and then the Queen would then be there for a period of about 8 weeks or so. It's going to be open until mid-August, and that's to bring in more revenues. So 2 more weeks of public opening. And the King will go to the Castle of May, the Queen Mother's former home. He'll also spend time at Birk Hall, but then he is expected to go to Balmoral and have the family members all there as well. And Rishi Sunak, because it's tradition for the PM and their family to be invited to be hosted at Balmoral.
Excellent. Well, I bet they have a wonderful time. Sarah Houston, always a pleasure. Thank you very much.